Hello, friend. I'm truly thankful you're here watching, and if you feel like subscribing, that would bring me more joy than you might imagine. Now, let's get into the story. Callie Jennings had always trusted in narratives, particularly the ones she invented for herself. In one of her favorite versions, she was the picture-perfect wife, elegant, composed, dressed to imply influence. She thrived under attention, the approving stares of strangers, compliments served with brunch, the admiration of a son she'd never truly earned, and a husband she had long dismissed as too soft-spoken to ever walk away. But all of it came undone on a Sunday morning, the morning she turned 46. The carefully polished life she'd crafted began to unravel. She was surrounded by her usual entourage, those polished women of her curated social world, the brunch devotees, the Pilates crowd, the ones who wore expensive sunglasses no matter the lighting. Their laughter echoed through a trendy Fort Collins cafe, bouncing between exposed beams and artful dishes. Callie was mid-toast when the door swung open. Everything shifted in an instant. In walked Adam Jennings, her husband of more than 2 decades. He wore a simple flannel shirt, moved with intention, and carried an expression of laser focus. He wasn't there to celebrate, he was there with purpose. Without a word, he walked straight to her, set a small blue gift bag beside her untouched drink, and sat down. The lively chatter halted, eyes widened, silence swelled. "Well, this is a surprise," Callie said, her voice sugar-coated with practiced charm. "Didn't see your RSVP come through." Adam's voice was steady. "I brought you something." A nervous ripple of laughter passed through the group. Still smiling, Callie reached for the bag. Inside was a plain white envelope. No jewelry, no sentimental card. Just paper. She hesitated for a beat before opening it. A crisp document slid out, clearly official, unmistakable in its clarity. The heading? Paternity report. Confidential. Callie's smile cracked. Her throat tightened. She turned the page. A birth certificate. Their sons. Highlighted in yellow, father, Adam Jennings. Attached with tape, a pale blue sticky note in handwriting she knew by heart. "You were right. I didn't need proof. I needed honesty." The silence around the table shattered like glass, quiet but deeply wounding. Adam stood. He smoothed his sleeves slowly, deliberately, and met the eyes of every woman seated there, like a judge delivering a sentence. "I'll leave you to your brunch." And then he left. No shouting, no spectacle, just an ending. Callie remained frozen. The document trembled in her grasp. Her drink stayed untouched. Heat flared across her cheeks as the women around her quietly rewrote everything they believed. Megan leaned in, voice low. Tyler never really looked like him. Callie parted her lips, but nothing came. Her voice had deserted her, her mouth dry as ash. Then she spotted it. Something else in the bag. A flash drive, slim, matte black, tucked beneath the envelope. She didn't need to plug it in, she already knew. Inside would be messages, photos, dates. The kind of truth she always assumed Adam would never care to find. His quiet had never meant apathy. It had been calculation. His restraint wasn't blindness. It was preparation. Now the illusion was finished. Not just the marriage, but the entire life she had staged. And her audience? They weren't clapping. They were leaving. Long after the group disbanded, Callie stayed at the table. Even the servers hesitated to clear her plate, casting wary glances at the papers like they might explode. The pink frosting on her birthday cupcake had collapsed into a sad, syrupy mess. When she finally rose, her body moved with unfamiliar stiffness, like her limbs no longer belonged to her. She stumbled onto the sidewalk, heels wobbling beneath her, and fumbled for her phone. She called Adam, over and over, 12 times. Each one went straight to voicemail. She texted, "I can explain. Please don't go public. I made a mistake. He's yours in every way that matters. Don't hurt Tyler." No response. Then, just before midnight, a single message arrived. "You have until Sunday to pack. Your keys will stop working after that. No greeting, no sign-off, only consequence. The next day, still in her party heels, she rushed to the house. Her key didn't fit. The lock had been changed. The alarm code wiped. The blinds were shut. She banged on the door until her hands hurt. Through the front window, she spotted a manila envelope resting on the table, her name scrawled neatly across the front. Later, she would find inside another flash drive. More files, more facts. Adam hadn't just discovered the truth. He had orchestrated the entire endgame. Patient, prepared, unrelenting. Even her car keys barely worked. Then she remembered. The lease was through his business. Her credit card? Declined. Account closed. Her social circle? Vanished. Messages unread. Megan gone silent. Jenna blocked her. Tasha from Pilates posted an inspirational quote the next morning. Choose better. No mention of Callie, but the implication was clear. She wasn't a tastemaker anymore. She was a warning. Across the city, Adam stood in his sister Liz's backyard, flipping burgers under the warm glow of patio lights. The air smelled of grilled meat and melted cheese. Tyler sat a few feet away, chewing slowly, the quiet between them still raw. Aunt Liz's salad is decent, Tyler said, but her hot dogs are trash. Adam smiled, though it didn't quite reach his eyes. It's the effort that counts. Tyler wiped his fingers on a napkin. You've got that serious dad face. Is this a lecture? Adam studied him. The kid he taught to ride a bike. The boy whose birthdays he never missed. The child who shared none of his blood, yet all of his heart. I won't be living at the house anymore, he said softly. Tyler's brow knit together. What do you mean? Adam took a breath. There were things your mother and I avoided for too long. Truths we should have dealt with. Tyler stared into his drink. This about what happened at that brunch? Adam clenched his jaw. News travels. Tyler snorted. People love gossip. Then he looked up. Are you mad at me? Something twisted inside Adam. He stepped forward and hugged the boy tightly, as though every second of fatherhood had been something he'd fought to earn. You're mine, he whispered. That will never change. That night, alone in his temporary home, Adam opened the floor safe. Inside, he placed 2 envelopes, one labeled Tyler, open when you're 18. Inside were the test results, the flash drives, and a 6-page handwritten letter, calm, steady, not bitter, just honest. Beside it, a second envelope, identical, because some truths shouldn't disappear. They need to be understood, when the time is right. He shut the safe and leaned back in the dark. It struck him then. You don't have to scream to end a lie. Sometimes the loudest revenge is leaving without a word, just silence, sharp as glass. By Friday, Callie sat in a sleek Denver law office, oversized designer sunglasses shielding her red eyes, clutching a $1,000 handbag like it might anchor her to a world already slipping away. Her reflection in the glass of the building's lobby was flawless. Lip gloss shining, hair slick and precise, blouse smooth as porcelain. But beneath the surface of her picture-perfect appearance, a slow unraveling had begun. The attorney inside didn't bother with pleasantries. Claudia Mercer, with her silver bob and laser-sharp gaze, slid a beige folder across the polished surface of her desk. I've reviewed everything, she said, tone flat. Your ex-husband was very thorough. Callie's eyes fluttered. Ex-husband? Technically, yes. The divorce proceedings had started 6 months earlier. Since then, he'd made his moves. Quiet, calculated. Every asset had been redirected. The companies, the real estate, even the remote lake house. Their home? Now shielded by a trust under his surname alone. Her name was nowhere on the deed. But the house? She asked, voice barely audible. Refinanced, legally, Claudia replied. Your signature wasn't required. And the car, company-owned, not subject to division. He can't just do this, Callie's breath snagged. He already has. I gave him 20 years of my life. Claudia didn't blink. And for 6 of those, he was laying this groundwork. Callie stood abruptly, her voice cracking with disbelief. He's going to ruin me. Claudia turned a page without reacting. That's already happened. You're entitled only to what wasn't claimed. Clothing, Perhaps some furniture, if he doesn't object. Her chest constricted. I raised his son. Yes, Claudia said softly, which it appears is exactly what cut him deepest. Callie drove back to her hotel in silence, numb behind the wheel. Her former apartment had a new tenant, a med student apparently. Her phone contacts had all gone silent. Even her sister, once constantly leaning on her, hadn't answered in days. She felt like she was floating, untethered, as if the string had snapped. That's when the knock came. A courier, expression blank, held out a padded envelope. Need your signature. There was no sender. Inside, legal papers officially revoking her rights as next of kin. Stapled to them was a photo, high res, from her birthday brunch. Callie, caught mid-shock, stared at the camera, eyes wide, lips parted, one hand clenched around an envelope of DNA results. Across the bottom, printed in bold black, "Real women don't lie." She crumpled, falling onto the hotel bed, then sliding to the carpet like a marionette with cut strings. Her phone buzzed, a text from someone she barely remembered from Pilates. Thinking of you. Callie threw the phone into her bag and wept, not for what was taken, but because she finally saw it all clearly. Adam hadn't just left. He'd orchestrated a collapse. He'd made sure no one would look at her the same again. On the other side of the city, Adam sat in his garage workshop, surrounded by neat stacks of files under the warm light of a hanging lamp. His face was calm, unreadable. From a drawer, he removed a folded letter, an early draft addressed to Tyler. He read the first line once more. You were the best thing I ever helped raise. It was honest, even if the rest had been a fabrication. By Sunday, the house Callie had once ruled felt unfamiliar. Parked across the street, she stared at it, the curtains gently shifting in the breeze. Her name still clung to the mailbox. The porch chairs remained exactly how she'd arranged them. Her mother's wind chimes still whispered in the wind, but the place no longer belonged to her. She tried the door, still locked. Rang the bell, holding it long, like persistence could somehow turn back time. No one answered, but through the front window she spotted it. An envelope, propped up on the hall table. Her name on it. A flash drive resting on top. A note, barely visible behind the glass. I made copies. Don't twist this. Her face flushed with heat. Before tears could ruin her makeup, she turned and left. That evening, Adam and Tyler sat quietly on their back porch. The air between them was dense, unspoken. Mom keeps calling, Tyler said, barely above a whisper. She sounds scared. Adam nodded. She's terrified of losing something she never really owned. I'm confused, Tyler admitted. Part of me's angry. Part of me wonders if everything we had was just fake. Adam took a long breath. You're not a mistake. You're the only thing I've never doubted. Tyler wiped his eyes. What do I do now? Adam gazed at the stars. You learn that truth doesn't break you, it frees you. And they sat in that silence, not stifling but real. Callie's life, meanwhile, had gone into full collapse. Her bank account was nearly empty. The hotel threatened to evict her. She reached out to old allies. None responded. Her sister's reply came at last, cold and final. He told me everything. Don't ever contact me again. In just 1 week, she had gone from a woman adored to one erased. At 2 a.m., she sobbed into a napkin in a strip mall parking lot. Her phone trembled in her hand. For the first time in years, she opened the old photos, ones Adam had taken, not the ones she posted. Backyard scenes, Tyler laughing on a swing, Adam grilling, her own smile, genuine, unforced. And it struck her. She hadn't just betrayed a man. She'd dismantled a life that had been carefully built around her. Later that week, Adam received final confirmation. Callie's legal spousal rights had been revoked. A second delivery arrived. A sealed envelope, no name, no letter, just the faint scent of her old perfume. He didn't open it. Instead, he tucked it inside a box labeled Closed Chapters and slid it back into the drawer. That night, he grilled alone. No music, no guests, just silence and clarity. Because he'd realized something. Revenge didn't always roar. Sometimes, when it was quiet, it echoed loudest. 3 months later, Callie Jennings stepped into a pawn shop and surrendered her last designer handbag. The clerk barely looked up. $60. She nodded, took the cash. Outside, she lowered herself to the curb, staring at the mountains. For once, there was no audience, no friends to impress, no one to convince. Just her and the truth. And truth, it doesn't chase you, it waits. Elsewhere in the city, Tyler returned home for his first college break, duffel slung over his shoulder, notebooks full of chemistry and calculus. Adam was in the garage, sanding a plank of wood. "Smells like ribs and sawdust in here," Tyler said with a smile. Adam looked up. "Good to see you, kid." They hugged, not as strangers bound by circumstance, but as men who had built something deeper than blood. Later that night, they sat together, flipping through old photos on the porch. Adam handed him a soda. "I've been thinking," Tyler began, "about everything." Adam stayed quiet, listening. "I'm not ready to find out who my biological father is. Not yet." Adam nodded slowly, and that was all that needed to be said. "You don't have to," Adam said softly. Tyler locked eyes with him. "Do you honestly think I'll ever be able to move on?" Lifting his glass slowly, Adam took a measured sip. "I don't know. Maybe not now. But one day you might see her with new eyes. Understanding someone doesn't always mean pardoning them." Tyler gave a slight nod, then let out a breath of dry laughter. "Since when did you get so philosophical?" Adam smiled, just barely. "It's cheaper than therapy." Meanwhile, Callie was holed up in a cramped apartment with paint peeling off the walls and insulation so thin that every sound from the neighbors came through loud and clear. Her job barely covered rent, and the younger employees threw around "ma'am" like it was a badge of her obsolescence. One night, she opened her closet and came face to face with artifacts of her former life. There was the dress she wore that Sunday brunch, the blouse from her birthday dinner, the heels she'd had on when everything fell apart. She dropped them into a cardboard box and scrawled one word across the lid: performance. Then she set it by the door, turned the lock behind her, not to erase the past, but to finally give it the right name. On Tyler's 18th birthday, Adam handed him a small wrapped box. Inside was a neatly folded note. It read, "If you ever decide to open the envelope in the safe, I'll be here. And if you never do, that's okay. You'll always be my son." Tyler looked down the hallway, then turned back. Instead of heading to the safe, he picked up a slice of cake and sat down next to Adam. They watched a movie without a word. The subject they avoided settled between them like a shared understanding. Nothing needed to be said. Some kinds of love aren't measured by what's spoken, but by what endures after everything else breaks. Months passed. One day, Callie stumbled across the old brunch photo, this time featured in a friend's viral blog post about betrayal. It had gone everywhere. Her image had become internet shorthand. When the backstory outshines the headline, when the truth stings more than the wine ever did, she didn't cry. She simply shut her laptop and headed to work. Because at some point, you stop chasing resolution, not because you've outrun what happened, but because you've learned how to carry it without breaking. As for Adam, he never remarried. He didn't need to. He built a new life for himself, slowly and deliberately, not from bitterness, but from letting go. His steady quiet had accomplished what anger never could. It lowered the curtain and closed the chapter once and for all. This is where we part ways. Feel free to leave your reflections below. Thank you for giving your time to this story. If it spoke to you, we welcome you to explore the others on our channel. Until we meet again, be well, friend.